Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you, HealthRIGht, for inviting me to speak. It's truly an honor to stand before you, not just as a supporter, not just as an alum, but as someone whose life was fundamentally changed by this organization. My journey with HealthRIGht began long before it even existed under that name. It was 1988, and I had been trapped in my addiction for 9 years, daily heroin and cocaine use. I had lost hope many times, more than I could count. But that year I found out I was pregnant, and for the first time in my life, I had a reason, an important reason, to try something different. I wanted my baby to be safe, I wanted her to be loved, and I wanted to be the mother she deserved. I managed to stop using, but I still had some legal issues that I had to address that could send me to prison for 3 years. My aunt helped me get an attorney, and we stood before the judge. He said something I will never forget. If you can get into treatment before your next court date, I'd consider suspending your sentence and allowing you to do treatment instead of prison. I walked out of the court determined. I felt that hope was quickly tested. I started calling treatment programs one after the other. I received, "No, we don't take pregnant women. No, we don't take IV drug users." That was the height of the HIV and AIDS epidemic, and the stigma was everywhere. I must have called at least 20 different programs. With each rejection, I could feel the window closing, my chance, my daughter's future slipping away. Then, defeated and exhausted, I made one more call to Prototypes, now a proud part of HealthRIGHT 360's family. The first thing I asked, "Do you take pregnant women?" And the lady on the phone said, "Yes, actually we have a specialized program for women that are pregnant and parenting." I took a breath, then I asked the question that usually ended the call, "But I'm an IV drug user." She didn't hesitate. She said, "Great, that's actually a priority population for us." For the first time in days, I cried tears of relief. I entered Prototypes one day before my court date. I spent my entire pregnancy in treatment, surrounded and supported and believed in. When I gave birth, Prototypes didn't have licensing for babies on site yet, so I had to return to court. The program director went with me and convinced the judge to allow me to live at home in La Palma and drive to Pomona daily. And if you don't know Southern California, that's not an easy drive. So the judge laid out his conditions. He said I had to be in treatment 6 days a week from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and do drug testing every other day. That was not an easy 14 months, but at the end of those 14 months, he closed my case. My life was finally my own. After treatment, I took the first job I could get, working at a board and care, 12-hour shifts, 5 days a week. My outpatient counselor pulled me aside and expressed a concern about me being away from my newborn so much. She encouraged me to apply for a job at Prototypes as an overnight monitor. I was appalled. I said, "I just got out of here. I don't want to go back there. Why would I want to work there?" She kept pushing me, and so eventually I applied. The best part of it is I could bring my baby with me to work. So I worked the overnight shift, and I could bring her, and she stayed in the chart room while I did my rounds, and my coworker would watch her, and then we'd come back. And that was before HR and all that stuff. The job turned out to be the first step in a career that I never saw coming. I took classes here and there towards becoming a counselor, and 2 years later, I was promoted. Over the years, I stopped and started school several times, being that, life, showing up, raising an infant, doing all those things, so I kept starting and stopping. Then the founding CEO of Prototypes announced her retirement. Her successor was introduced, a 30-something-year-old healthcare executive who, by the way, knew nothing about substance use disorder treatment. I panicked. I was convinced she would discover I had no formal education and that all I had was life experience, and she would for sure fire me. I left the restaurant that day where the announcement took place and drove straight to the community college and enrolled in school. I didn't stop taking classes until I finished my master's degree in 2015. Of course, my fears didn't come true. She didn't fire me, kept advancing, and the truth is she became someone who encouraged and supported me. Today, I have the privilege of working with behavioral health programs across the entire state. I get to support the work that once saved my life and the life of my daughter. I get to see what makes HealthRIGht so special. Our staff are the most compassionate, mission-driven people you will ever meet. They show up day after day for people who are often misunderstood, judged, or turned away elsewhere. We are the last house on the block for many of our clients. We treat those whom others won't. That's what makes HealthRIGht 360 extraordinary. We believe that healthcare is a human right. We believe that recovery is possible for everyone. We believe that people, before they learn to believe in themselves. I'm living proof of what happens when an organization opens its doors instead of closing them. When someone answers the phone and says, yes, we can help. My daughter, born healthy, safe, and loved, is now a grown woman with her own beautiful life. She exists because someone at Prototype said yes. My career exists because someone believed in second chances. And I am here alive and thriving because treatment was available when I needed it the most. To all of you who support HealthRIGht 360, thank you for your generosity. It makes stories like mine possible. Your belief in this mission creates real, lasting change. You truly are the change. Thank you.